I made $117,000 with my clothing brand in just 2 months with just Meta ads. We went from being stuck below 15K a month to all the way to $55,000 a month just by applying this ad structure. And the crazy thing is, we only spent around $20,000 on ads to hit 117,000, meaning that's nearly a 6x ROAS. And lucky for you, in this video today, I'm going to show you exactly what I did so you can do the same with your brand. Now, get your pencil out, get your notepad out, and let's get through it. As you can see, we have spent $21,000 just above this ad campaign, okay, with a 5.43x ROAS to generate $116,739 in just 2 months, okay? So I'm going to break down a lot in this video today, going down the every acquisition structure, and these stuff you have never heard on the internet before because this is our strategy, okay? Now, my favorite quote, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This really is important because setting up the ads and making it perfect, what's actually important is everything you do before you run the ads, okay? And that's actually where we spend most of our time in the whole acquisition process, okay? Before we run the ads, okay? So, what I like to do first with the team is analyze current situation, okay? We always want to be in the position where we can always double down on what we have / what's already working. And there's 3 main acquisition when it comes to this, okay? Our website, okay? Product, and individualized organic content, okay? Now let's break down into this, okay? Product, we need to find a collection and product that have the best potential to be the hero product. Let me give you an example. If we have like 20 different products on a website, which this brand's particular, I think we had over like 35, 50 different products at that stage, even like a small low ticket products as well. We don't want to be in the position where we advertise every single little product, especially if we don't have a big ad budget, okay? So we always want to prioritize our top 4 hero products when we actually run the ads. So that is what I mean, okay? From organic engagement, from our current sales, what our current revenue is, okay? Identify the hero products, the main selling point of our brand, okay? Individualized organic content, okay? Find the best performing content organically already. Engagement in KPI, comments, saves, and views, traction and views, obviously, when it comes to reels, carousel pics, any piece of content that you put in organically. It doesn't necessarily have to be from Instagram, but Instagram is better, okay? Website, you want to optimize for ads, okay? Which puts us in a position where we can dig out existing data inside Meta, okay? So first of all, we want to dig out existing data from a brand overall, and then go into the ad stuff, which I'm going to go into. And there's 4 main pillars, and this is really our standard operating procedure when we actually look at a brand's ad account before we start anything. Okay, so going back to this quote, okay, really dial down on what we do before we run the ads to have a successful scaling campaign. Number 1 is you need to analyze your past campaigns and KPI, even if you're a brand new ad account and everything, okay? Why? To find potential gaps that can be capitalized, okay? Creatives, copies, offer, products, and sort of going back to the product, okay? Is there a specific product that has particularly worked well inside your ad account, okay? So that's number 1 thing we want to find, okay? Go through every single KPI, every single campaign that you ran, okay? Number 2, the total spend in ad account. Why? Identify the potential use and leverage audience and data segments, okay? Where the dollar has been spent towards what type of audience, okay? And most importantly, if you're working with an ad account that spent $1 million plus working with an ad account with, that spent $100, the data and the pixel is going to be different, right? So the way you approach things also has a huge correlation to how mature your ad account and your pixel is. Hence why, the spend of it, okay? Number 3 is audience segmentation. Why? Need to set this up properly to identify your engaged customers, your existing customers, and your new customers, okay? Because when you run ads and your ROAS is off the roof and you see to start a fatigue and your frequency goes high, we want to be in the situation before we even launch the ads, okay, where our sales are coming from. Because again, if our ROAS is 3, pretty good, right? But it's coming from a warm audience, for example, right? Engaged audience, then it's not as impressive because the more you scale, the higher your cost per acquisition going to rise. Because obviously if you're spending $20,000 a day on ads, for example, Facebook has to find new audiences, right? Can't just live off your engaged audiences, if that makes sense, okay? So audience segmentation, that is a thing that we need to set up, okay? If you don't know how to set this up, give us a message on Instagram. We'll help you set it up, okay? Number 4 is pixel setup plus proper payment info connection, okay? Why? make sure Pixel is set up for purchase conversion and has been tested via Events Manager so we can get accurate data. Nothing matters if we can't get accurate data, okay? Payment info connected to no issues with ad stopping. That is the most important aspect. Now, this is what we do before we run the actual ads. Now, set up meta campaign for two main objectives: test creators and niche down to certain products in each collection. Now, I'm using this brand as an example because this is the results we were able to achieve. We had so many products, right? And not a big, crazy big budget, okay? Again, we had over, I think, 40 different products. This is why we went with this specific strategy. Again, this is why we have to look at our past data to realize what is our hero product, right? We don't want to advertise a product that doesn't work well organically in the first place. Ads is an amplifier to everything, okay? So that is the number one thing I want you guys to understand before anything, okay? So, two campaigns split, and this is the fun part because I'm going to go into this. So, two campaigns, okay? It's pretty simple. We have a campaign at ABO and manual. We have two ad sets with two different verticals, and then we have 4 creatives under each ad set, meaning we have 8 in each campaign, meaning we have 16 different creatives running in our ad account total because we have 2 different campaigns running at the same time. Now, analytic meta breakdown of this funnel, okay? Campaign level objective, right? The whole goal of this is to split into different collection and products, basically the setup for the whole collection, okay? So between these 2 products, we are finding out what product works, okay? Because when we're in a position where we have so many products, we don't want to capitalize on every single product, right? Add to level objective. To set where the creatives are going to be placed in this situation, we should set it to the broad. Add no interest because our main objective is to test product and vertical. That is it. No interest, no detailed targeting, none of that, okay? Let Facebook handle that. Our only job is to deliver the right creatives from the right data that we read off of. It's that simple, okay? Add level objective to the actual creative itself. Make sure only one primary text and headline, as we only want to test one thing at a time, okay? And most importantly, the URL of your creatives go straight to that product page. So let me give you an example. Let's just say this campaign here, we're advertising a hoodie, okay? Don't mind my handwriting, I do have a mouse, okay? And let's just say this one, we have pants, okay? So ad set 1 and obviously the campaign level, you're splitting it between the products, okay? And between ad sets, you're splitting it between the different, creative concepts. So for example, the hoodie, this can be a flat lay and this could be a studio pick, okay? And for the pants, this could be a lifestyle pick, and this could be UGC videos, right? So we have 4 different content verticals, okay? Now, every single one of these creatives under the FL ad should be different type of flat lay creatives, right? But every single one should have a product URL going straight to the hoodie, not the collection page, not the home page. And same thing here, every single creative, which one is this, is lifestyle pictures, right? Should go straight to the pants, okay? And what I mean by product page, okay, if you guys are sort of still confused, this is the home page. If I'm selling this tee, I want it to go to this specific product page, okay? This is super important, okay? And from our data, we've seen this make a huge difference, okay? Okay, so this part, the acquisition structure, is the real meat stuff of this video, okay? And I really want you to listen closely because I'm going to go through our standard operating procedure on this, okay? So we start off with 2 campaigns, as you can see from the diagram above, 4 ad sets, 2 in each campaign, and 2 ad sets in each campaign. To hit a certain return of ad spend goal, we need to set that as our target ROAS, okay? Target ROAS is 5. This needs to be in our KPI target to hit, okay? We kill off the ad set if it does not hit the required KPI. So for example, if your target ROAS that you set before you run the ad doesn't hit 5, for example, we kill it. Do this as soon as it hits the average order value of 2x so we can add and dial this faster and efficiently. And guys, before we move on, I'm not saying your ideal target ROAS has to be 5, okay? If your break-even ROAS is 1, for example, your target ROAS should be 2 to 2.5 for scaling. So if it doesn't hit 2, right, you can kill it, okay? Or leave it on and not scale, okay? If the 2 ad set does bad and fail to meet KPI, this is a big indicator that the collection and product is not market fit, okay? So if we go into the example, I have written a lot. Let me just clear this up. Okay. So as you can see, we have the hoodie and then we have the pants, okay? If this ad set fails and this ad set fails and doesn't hit our target or break even ROAS, there's a good chance that this pants is not a product I want to keep advertising. And this one worked, okay? That is what I mean, okay? Before making the decision, we always want to check KPI, okay? This is the reason why analyzing KPI is always the hardest when killing or scaling, okay? If ad set has been killed, all you want to do is dial in new creative verticals of variation within the ad set. For example, if this ad set worked on the hoodie, but this didn't, all you can do is kill this one and add a new vertical that you haven't tested before, right? If that makes sense. So at this stage here, we should have identified killed off a collection or killed off a vertical, okay? Rinse and repeat the systems. Place a new collection campaign and creative ad sets. So for example, you always want to run 2 campaigns at the same time. If pants is dead, then you want to add a new product that you want to test maybe, or a new collection that you want to test, okay? Rinse and repeat. Goal of the system, find a campaign with a target KPI and ROAS with no scaling budget, okay? Cool, that is basically our SOP for this, okay? To scale this process, we first identified a working creative vertical and collection before scaling. And there's 2 main ways we can go about this, okay? Once we can confirm with enough spend and enough testing and it hits our metric with KPI, we scaled in various ways, okay? And there's 2 main ways, okay? So when I'm talking about this is a scaling method. This here is the acquisition structure to figure out what we're actually doing, what we're actually scaling, and this is how we scale. Number 1 is budget, which is vertical. You want to vertically scale, meaning we're playing with budget. So if it hits our target KPI, you want to scale the budget 13 to 25% not every single day, every 2 to 4 days on the ad set level, okay? Because it's the budget is placed on ABO, okay? Ad set budget optimization, okay? Every 2 to 4 days, repeat exclusion. If ROAS is well above target, then you can vertically scale faster. So instead of 2 to 4 days, you can do 1 day. So what I mean by well above is if your target ROAS, break-even ROAS is 1.5 and we're at a 5, for example, you can do this every second day. You don't have to wait 3-4 days, okay? What you want to do as a brand owner is keep track of KPI. Some ads that can be start to fatigue, and you want to watch out for frequency when scaling an ad budget, okay? Because if frequency gets high, okay, then your ad sets are going to hit a ceiling, because that means from the certain pool of audiences Facebook has represented your products to, they have seen it and it can get fatigued, meaning there's a ceiling to where it gets, okay? Now, scaling through new collections and offers, okay? There's a clear process to this. You want to scale and test into different collections once we have enough spend and an ad set hits KPI, okay? When scaling collection, just duplicate the campaign, minimum 4 to 7 days apart from scaling and duplicating through campaigns. Same principle to apply with new offers, scale offers through campaigns. However, need to scale down collection campaigns when new offer campaign comes in, okay? So I would stay away from this unless you have majority of spend and scale through budget vertically, okay? So I know it's a lot we just went through, okay? But if you have a lot of products, right, and you want to scale fast, this is the fastest way to find out. And why? Because you can test products, you can test the different angles and so many different variations of new content at the same time, right? And through this scaling method, right, where you have one way you can scale through budgetly and scale through collections, right, and ad sets, you can scale so much so fast, okay? If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm happy to help you out.